us?
So that's a good question, because as someone who's recently joined CAT and
Contract action team.
Contract Action Team, just joined it, so it doesn't slip on the tongue correctly.
We're all learning
quickly.
things. Yeah.
I kind of wonder, like, I can, what I still can't tell, and that's because I'm very new to the process of being in any role in the bargaining process, is how much is this validly management's fault, and how much is it just the city not providing them enough money to provide us? And if it is more city than them, how do we correctly like galvanize the city to give our management enough funding to fund us? What is the actual answer to that question?
I mean, not to be a lawyer, right? But like, it depends. It's complicated. All that annoying lawyer answer stuff. But I
Not
think
to get strict to strike.
yeah. I think on a few levels. I mean, obviously we're part of a union, right? And our union UAW, especially Region 9A, which we're under, helps us, essentially lobby to elected officials, right, who are in charge of budgets and can maybe increase the amount of funding that legal services providers like our various offices receive. But that doesn't mean that management is off the hook, right? And I think that that's the point you're really making. Although the city controls largely most of our contracts, I'm speaking broadly here, I don't know the exact percentages, but I believe come from New York City funding, right? But New York City funding doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's New York State, there's the country, right? Like the federal government. So there are ways to try and advocate for increased funding at all levels. I think that it's really, unfortunately, a statement of values, right? Not necessarily from management, but from our funders, the city largely, that, we don't matter. A lot of the times we're representing marginalized people in court, and we are the lowest paid employees in that courtroom, right? As you said, DAs, judges, court attorneys, court reporters,
And that's why
court
people
officers.
think what they do about public defenders, right?
They're like, you're a legal aid, get me out of here, get away from me, I don't want you to represent me, right? So we have to deal with that a lot. But other clients thankfully come to appreciate the hard work that we do, because we signed up to do this work to help people. We're not asking for $1 million a year, right? Like we're not asking for ridiculous numbers. And I think specifically with this contract campaign, two things are different. One, that we are all bargaining as a sector. Now it's sort of not perfect. I would more properly call it like quasi-sectoral bargaining, because the way I understand it, proper sectoral bargaining, which does exist in a lot of countries, like in Europe, where the entire sector, truly, they are bargaining, they're trying to set a standard wage across the sector, even if they're different companies, right? Let's say working in a particular industry. We don't have that here, because it's like a mix, a grab bag of different nonprofits that are funded to do different things, and the funding streams are all different. So it's a little messier, and not all the contracts are set to expire June 30th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m., right? Some contracts will expire next year, blah, blah, blah. But the idea is that, especially with the Legal Aid Society's bargaining process, the Legal Aid Society is the biggest, the oldest of the public defender organizations and legal services providers. People call it a shorthand, legal aid attorney, right? For the Legal Aid Society.
Sometimes even just a legal aid.
Just a legal aid, right? Like
Are you my legal aid, right? Like,
yeah, the phrase has life unto its own, and that's because the Legal Aid Society here in New York City is like the OG. But the fact of it is, shit, where was I going? I feel like I forgot.
I mean, what can management do, right?
Oh yeah, what can management do? And with like, as a statement of values, right? Since we're the lowest paid, we're representing marginalized people in court, right? People who are fighting to like avoid a prison cell, to keep their kids or get their kids back in the home, to have the right to continue living here in the United States, right? To stay in their home as you do, right? So it's like the government not funding us is part of the problem, but it's on management to have our funders from the city and elsewhere really understand the value that we bring to New Yorkers in general, right? To not just marginalized communities, but to like the concept of public safety. People think, oh, it's just public safety, it just means more cops or more mental health beds. It's also people having access not just to due process, right? Like whatever that means to different people, but also knowing that should you have problems and need some kind of legal assistance, there are people here in New York City who have the expertise, the experience, the skill set, and the will, like the drive, the passion to actually help you, right? It's not just like a job that you do for a couple of years and peace out. Like that's the way it is for some people, but oftentimes because they have to. Because how else are you supposed to live in New York City, pay rent, maybe have kids, maybe get married, maybe pay student loans, maybe buy an apartment, a condo, a house, whatever, all on a legal aid salary.